any salesperson seems to kind of fall into this pit of, cold calling in the beginning, pipeline gets ramped up, stop prospecting.
So when you think about commercial real estate brokerage fundamentals, what are some of the first two secrets or thoughts that come to mind?
Yeah. Whether it's commercial or even if it's residential, I think one of the things to think about are just the fundamentals of daily execution. I think, there's a book I read a long time ago called Mastery, and it talks about living on the plateau and, doing the same thing every day isn't necessarily always fun. It's not always sexy. It's not always this, but knowing what your metrics are that run your business on a day-to-day basis to prospect every single day, those things are so critical. And I think that's where a lot of people, I know we're talking real estate, but any salesperson seems to kind of fall into this pit of, cold calling in the beginning, pipeline gets ramped up, stop prospecting. Well, that's a really backwards way of looking at things. We need to be prospecting every single day. And whether it's, there's so many different ways to prospect today. Calls, meetings are back. There's now networking's coming back, and texting, social media, there's all these different ways. And so we really got to know, what we want to make, and then reverse engineer what we have to do every day to make that happen. And that's the key. It's the consistency, right? Like really committing to the metrics, lowering the bar if you have to be consistent, but being consistent is absolutely quintessential. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you can't move forward if you don't have, small, consistent fundamental wins every day. And you're right. In commercial real estate, it starts with the cold call, and it starts with getting in those reps. It starts with, understanding your marketplace, right? It could be reviewing the comps, right? Reviewing who the buyers and sellers are. Having good solid interest generators when you're calling somebody, having something of value. All of those things prepare you, right? Sharpen the saw. But if you're not getting out there and actually calling and talking with people and discussing these things, and then of course listing properties and closing deals and going on meetings, then nothing goes anywhere. So everything, I think, rises and falls on sales and on your leadership of yourself, right? And if you're not any organization that's not out there prospecting and out bringing leads, everything else dies on the vine, right? So yeah. You've got to get that ship off of the ground, or that the plane off of the ground, that ship out of harbor. It takes a massive amount of inertia or force to get that going. And but you're right. If you stop that and you stop staying consistent on those things, then you can expect your metrics to fall off. And that typically what we found when we had the training at Marcus Millichap was, you cold call to get X amount of meetings, and X amount of meetings lead to X amount of proposals, and X amount of proposals, X amount of listings, and those amount of listings, that many amount of closings, and then so you can reverse engineer that on an average sales price of $1 million to $3 million. Let's just say on the list side, and potentially representing both sides. But yeah, knowing those key numbers. If you don't know those numbers and where you're going, then good luck having the motivation or the drive to actually do those disciplines.
Yeah.